From floor plans to 5-year plans, business to finding balance, I'm Ashley Bruggeman, an interior designer with a love for beautiful living and a belief that style and substance go hand in hand. I'm pulling back the curtain on design, resilience, and entrepreneurship. Expect real talk, refined tips, and just the right mix of polish and personality. So pour something sweet and join me for a thoughtful conversation with a generous helping of charm and circumstance. Welcome back to Charm and Circumstance. This is Ashley Bruggeman, and I am so glad you're here today as we discuss the value of resilience, networking, and collaboration. Today, I'm joined by someone very special, my friend, mentor, and fellow interior designer, Jenna Schnabel Wedemeyer, co-owner of Schnabel Interiors. Jenna and I are part of a unique group called the Lexington Design Collective, a network of local designers who support one another, share resources, and cheer each other on. In this episode, we're going to talk about the power of networking and partnerships, what it means to start over in careers, marriages, moves, and life, and why collaboration over competition has made all the difference in our journeys. Let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Jenna.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so glad you are. And first things first, I want to tell a little story about the background of, and the irony, I guess, of our connection now is that one of my best friends in college, when I was an interior design major, actually ended up with an internship at Schnabel Interiors where Jenna's mom was working at the time. You were not in town.
Right.
But she worked for your sweet little mama.
Oh.
And I would go in there and visit my friend and see the cute building that you all are in, that you're still in today. Yeah. And so it's so fun then all these years later, well, maybe not too many, but a few. Mm-hmm. And then we're able to connect with each other. And then I can come visit you in that same building. And it's just so funny how small of a world it really is.
You know, though, there's no irony to any of this stuff.
This is true.
It's all meant to be.
It is. It is. Okay, so Jenna, can you tell our listeners a little bit about your journey and how Schnabel Interiors even came to be?
Yeah, so I was born in Lexington and moved away like everybody else does for college.
Except for me.
And life. Yeah, there are a few. I lived in Chicago for at least 35 years, was married there, raised my children there, started my own interior design business there. And about 5 years ago, what I call the perfect storm evolved in my life. And it was a combination of divorce, becoming an empty nester, starting to date an ex who lived in Lexington, and COVID. COVID changed everybody's perspective on life, right?
This is a massive storm.
Right. So I was sitting there one day going, you know, I've reached all these business goals that I wanted to reach in my life in Chicago, and I'd been there so long. And I just thought, I don't know, it came into my mind, what if I just moved back to Lexington? And it was one of those, it was a seed. And then before I knew it, it had taken over, and I put my condo up for sale, and the doors opened left and right. And it was clear to me that it was time for me to make a major pivot in my life. Mm-hmm. And I came back to Lexington. You know, there's another thing that I had heard about. I'd heard something on Instagram, and it was a guy talking about a story. And it was about, you know, how often do you go home and visit your parents? Is it once a year at Christmas, or is it maybe twice a year? And how long do you think your parents have to live? Do they have 5 years? And if you only go twice a year, that's 10 visits that you have left with your parents.
Wow.
That just like, I don't know what, it was the time in my life or whatever, but that hit me so hard. And I thought, oh my God, I desperately need to get back and spend more time with my family, and particularly my mom. Mm-hmm. Now, my mom and I have always done the same thing. Mm-hmm. She's been an interior designer for like 40 years. And we've shared our businesses and our struggles and our victories kind of at an arm's length because we've never been in the same city. So I came back home initially just hoping that I could just spend more time with her. At the time, she was in a partnership with some other designers, and so there was not an opportunity for me to work alongside her.
Mm-hmm.
That changed a few years after I moved home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been the most amazing pivot and experience in my life I see her every day for hours at a day.
Yeah.
And I've never ever spent this much time with her. And we're grown women now, and we're business women, and we have different strengths and weaknesses. And it has been just the most amazing thing that has happened in my life. So now we are Schnabel Interiors in her same building that she owns on Main Street. And we have just a super exciting, very focused, different type of business now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's really amazing.
So you and I both know that careers are not always a straight line. So what have been some of the biggest pivots or start over moments in your professional life?
Okay. So moving back to Lexington, I was all caught up in the excitement of it, and the doors were opening, and I knew that this was what I was meant to do. And I was leaving a very successful established design practice in Chicago, coming here, and I get here and I kind of forgot that I was going to have to start over. My mom was in a partnership with somebody else, and I wasn't working alongside her or with them. I had my own business still, but nobody in Lexington knew who I was.
Oh.
They knew me as Jenny Schnabel's daughter, but they kind of assumed I was working with her.
Right.
They didn't realize that I still had my own business, that I was still trying to run out of my house. That was a huge wake-up call for me, and a big struggle professionally. And then, there are the personal struggles too, where you move back to your hometown and you think, oh, I'm just going to pick up with these girlfriends and these people that I knew from high school and college, and everybody else has moved on, and they don't really.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't care about you, but they're just busy with their own lives, and they're not worried about Jenna, and she needs to get out and meet people and kind of get reestablished.
Things have evolved.
Yeah. So that was a tough thing for me financially and emotionally on a personal and a business level.
Yeah. Sounds like it would be.
Yeah. Even though it was great, on one end,
Right.
it was definitely, I hadn't prepared myself for that.
Maybe it's good though, that I would imagine knowing that struggle is coming ahead of time or expecting it may have been more of a prevention.
True.
From keeping you.
Yeah.
And
True.
making that hard decision.
True. Yeah.
So would you say that that transition has affected how you approach design or relationships?
Yes, I would just say that I am generally more open to change and willing to, if I'm doing something new or something that's unfamiliar for me, I'm much more comfortable now grinding through the difficulties because I know that on the other side that there's some kind of gain to be made, some kind of benefit.
Yeah. I think that's probably true of like any major difficulties that we go through as we continue to build those.
Yeah.
You build that resilience and can see that you are capable of surviving. Like you will get through the other end. It's kind of those little mantras that our mothers would say to us when we were younger or teenagers.
Yeah.
And you're like, you have no idea. You don't understand how bad this is.
There is so much value to becoming older,
There is.
You really do become wiser.
This is true.
And I think more confident and comfortable with just life, which can be kind of difficult sometimes.
Yeah. Just a bit.
Yeah. Right.
So, I think when I first met you, I had just started my own design business, Ashley Morgan Interiors, and I believe we probably connected through Instagram. And of course, I recognized your name, like I said, because I just knew it because I was here. And because my best friend had interned for your mother. And so we started to like each other's posts on social. And then eventually one of us, I think maybe you even, were the one who maybe reached out to me and sent me a DM and said, hey, let's connect. And you were the first person to really kind of like welcome me into the residential side of design here, which I very much appreciated and needed. And then we met for dinner,
Yeah, I
and
remember that.
you
It was
just,
fun.
yeah, you just opened up everything, your story, and talked about how much you really dreamed of having a networking group, more than a networking group. It's really like a support group.
I know it is like therapy.
It's like a divorce support group, but for
Mm-hmm.
interior
Mm-hmm.
designers,
Yep.
like Jerry Maguire, like that. That's what
Yeah.
I picture with our group.
Yeah.
But you shared that you are part of a group and had been part of a group in Chicago like that, and how much you really wanted that for Lexington. And then fast forward a bit down the road, one of our other colleagues here, another designer, had gone on and done some work in all the legwork and logistics of inviting everybody and getting that going.
Yep.
So I would say that it is probably more common, though, for individuals, entrepreneurs, interior designers, maybe specifically, to be intimidated to reach out to somebody who you are technically a competitor of mine,
Sure.
and as is everyone in our group.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not how we operate with each other at all. And it is the most refreshing, amazing thing to know that we could be, any two of us could be in direct competition with each other for a client. But if the other person were to get that client, we're all cheering each other on.
Absolutely.
And it's like straight up magical. I mean, it's really the best thing ever. And so I do think that this, hopefully, conversation is encouraging to others who are possibly intimidated by reaching out to those, we'll call them competitors in the market, where that networking might be absolute key, like this just door to open to much more insight and experience that can be gained through that network. So what would you say that networking looks like in your world, and why do you think it's so important within our industry?
I used to I'd hear the word networking and I would get this kind of cringe response. I'm like, oh, networking. I don't want to go do that. I don't want to put myself out there. And I kind of changed my mindset about the word. And I realized, especially when I moved back here and I was kind of floating professionally and personally, how important networking was. It became my lifeline.
Mm.
And let me go back and tell a little bit of a story about this peer group that I co-founded in Chicago back in 2008 that is still meeting today once a month. So I officially opened my interior design business in Chicago back in 2006. Interior design can be, if you don't have a partner, can be a very isolating, lonely type of creative job.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to these events at the Merchandise Mart in Chicago that were for designers, networking events. And, a supplier was in talking, a vendor was talking about their product or whatever. And I kept going to those events, hoping just like for the connection of meeting other designers.
Mm-hmm.
And I came from the fashion industry, and I pivoted at that point in my life into interior design. I came from an industry that was very collaborative, and I found myself in this new industry of interior design, and it was not collaborative. Mm-hmm. Everybody was very guarded and protective of their resources and the way they invoiced and the way they billed and what was their hourly rate. And all those things. And I just craved, there I was in this creative vacuum, and I was craving like some interaction with another peer.
Yeah.
And I kept running into this one particular designer. Her name is Nora Schneider. And we were, talking about the struggle that we both had. And we said, hey, what if we started a group? And it was a peer group. And you bring 2 people and I'll bring 2 people. And then the next meeting, those people bring some more people. And sure enough, and everybody was like, oh, that is not going to work. Designers do not share. They don't collaborate, la, la, la. Anyway, we started that group. And that group is still meeting today, once a month. It has changed my personal life, and it has made my business, all of our businesses. There's 10 of us in that group. We've come in and out of the group. We've had divorces, we've had deaths, we've had graduations, all kinds of things. We've had huge victories in our businesses and things that have been what we call 911s. But we've all thrived because of our connection with each other and the support. And so when I moved here, it was critical for me. I missed it. I missed that so much, even though I still meet with them once a month over Zoom, or if I go to Chicago. I knew I wanted to start something like that here. And again, people are like, oh, not in this market. There's so many interior designers and everybody's so guarded. And I was like, no, I heard that before. I'm not going to let that deter me.
Love that.
Yeah. And so, again, it was just a matter of me getting on social media and finding out who are the interior designers in Lexington and around here, and reaching out to those people and introducing myself and cheering them on from social media. And it just sort of, again, it's just networking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's definitely still, outliers in every market who maybe don't play nice with others.
Yeah.
But
that's okay.
yeah.
And you know what? It's honestly, it's their loss.
It's absolutely
they're
their
missing
loss.
out on some amazing, amazing stuff.
Right. And I think that that's the minority for sure, because I just think the industry has changed, and with the, mass media component where everybody's so visible on Instagram. So we all do get to see each other's work and how each other works. So you get like a little more of a window into the other people's businesses. And it can be, you can either take it as a threat, or you can take it to be encouraging and be excited for other people. And I think that really comes down to, your own personal choice too.
Yeah. Well, I approach life from a place of abundance. I feel like there's a designer for everybody. There's more business and things to go around for everybody. And we all just need to support each other and make each other better.
Exactly. So for somebody who is just starting out their business, or maybe somebody who is more established, whatever business that it may be, but they're hesitant to reach out to new people, what advice would you give to them?
You just have to put yourself out there. Just be yourself, be authentic, be genuine. Look at networking and reaching out to other people as not just what can I get from somebody, from a connection with somebody else, but what can I give to them?
Yes.
And it's just like, donating your time to charities and things. They always say, if you're feeling bad about yourself, go give something to somebody else, because that is just a huge bonus to you.
Totally.
It's kind of the same. You just have to do it.
And sometimes I think that we can tend to overthink things.
Yes.
So if we sit there and contemplate like, oh, I wouldn't even know what to say, or I'm going to send this message, but what if they think I'm like an idiot for sending it, or they, just think, I don't know, that they're too good for me. You know what? If they don't respond, that's not somebody you want to be networking with anyways, like that. But at the same time, I think that anybody worth their while in this scenario, they've been in your shoes before. And so they see themselves in that need to reach out as well. So, I think take that as a little encouraging component to reaching out and putting yourself out there. So, can you share a story about how one conversation or connection has completely shifted an opportunity for you?
Well, I told you the one about meeting Nora at an event and how it,
Yeah, that's a
created
big
this,
one, right?
right? That
Changed your trajectory,
it
really.
changed the trajectory of my life, but really my business life, and it's funneled into this one too, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I had the
Because it's
experience of starting
absolutely
a group, and
affected ours.
and I knew how important it was and how much I missed it when I moved here, and that I was just dead set on. I didn't want to hear people say you can't do it. That's a huge one that changed the trajectory, and it changed other people's lives, not just mine.
Right.
It's
Everybody in the
changed
group.
yours,
Totally.
right?
Yeah. And you were able to bring the experience of that group and what worked well
Yes.
into ours as we started our collaborative.
Yeah, and I think every group, particularly peer groups, they have their own organic life.
Personalities.
Yeah, and they sort of evolve, but it was nice to have that framework of what had worked before and what was the magical number. And, the main thing about all that is you realize, especially as you get older, you realize where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are.
Yes.
And when you're in a group of other people, they all have differing strengths and weaknesses.
Absolutely.
And together, combined, you are an awesome whole.
This is very true.
And when you're trying to improve yourself and your business, you end up improving the best practices of your industry. And that's a win for you, personally and professionally,
Right.
but a huge win for your clients.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you're coming to the table with, you've literally got like 9 other designers behind you as your support. Like, okay, I've encountered this situation today on a job site, and I'm not really sure what to do about it. I've got 9 girlfriends in my back pocket that I can text. And they can tell me what their thoughts are.
100%. And their connections and their networks as well.
That's right.
Because we've even had that. I think I had a situation where I really needed a contractor's point of view on something, and I wasn't working with a contractor specifically. And so one of the members in our group was able to just call up a contractor she was really close to. We were on a 3-way conversation and problem solved right then and there. And to benefit from each other's networks, it's just this amazing, amazing situation that I really hope that others get to experience, whether, their industry is design or not. And I know that these types of situations, these groups do exist within the design industry across different markets.
Sure.
I hope that they are a continual evolution within our industry. And because it just says a lot about this next wave, this new generation in design, that we are secure enough and confident enough to realize that we need others and that it only makes us stronger.
Absolutely. No doubt. I think you have to be of a mindset, though, where you're willing to be vulnerable and authentic and say, hey, I actually don't know the answer to this, but can you help me?
100%.
That's a hard thing for a lot of people to do.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah. It does take a lot of vulnerability. And there's definitely, a lot of that. And sometimes our sessions turn into therapy sessions, right? But that is so much of being a business owner too.
Something I've been struggling with my whole life is perfectionism, trying to always be right and trying to be perfect. And I heard this thing this morning. I was actually listening to something that perfectionism is fear in fancy clothes. I was like, oh, wow. Beware of comparing yourself to others because it leads to despair. Compare leads to despair, right? So just, you're awesome, however you are, and share that awesomeness with other people because you're going to make them feel better and they're going to make you feel better.
Yeah. And I think it's always been helpful for me to realize it's so easy to put other people up on a pedestal. Like when you don't really know them, you don't know the real story there, and you're just seeing, whatever
You're seeing
the
social
public,
media.
exactly, the
Yeah.
public image. And so you see that and maybe are intimidated by that, or think, oh my gosh, I'll never achieve like what they have or whatever it is. But the reality is they didn't start out like that. Like day one was not like that for anybody.
Right.
And everybody has had their own fears or struggles or whatever it is. I recently, I don't know where I even saw this. It may have been on social media, and a designer who has had a tremendous success, just from like a marketing perspective, it seems, and different deals, the book deals, everybody wants the book deal, or, product lines and all the things. And, but he's out there, like he seems to be doing very well. And he shared about when he started, how he just had doors like slammed in his face and was treated really poorly by a lot of other designers and not given a chance. And it is so important, I think, too, for those who have reached a certain level of success to share those humble moments and those stories to bring a bit of reality to the situation, because it's so, I think, encouraging to see that when you're the one in that struggle and know that you're not alone and that this is where everyone has been.
Yeah. That's a great thing about our group too, is that everybody is at a different place in the evolution of their businesses. Some are just starting out, others of us have been in business for a long time, and we've encountered lots of morphs in our business, right? Maybe we started out just doing hourly and we were saying yes to everything. And then you start kind of figuring out what your brand is and what do you really like to do? What's your zone of genius? What are those 3 things that you love to do and you want to do those 80% of the time? All those, we're all in different stages, and we can really benefit from each other.
Yeah. One of my favorites in our group too is when somebody just, like, obviously we're all different personalities. And so one of the designers that's like, we'll say, more of a people pleaser than either of us are, will say something and we feel like they're being taken advantage of by either a contractor or a client. And, we just scream out, stop doing that. That is not okay.
Yeah.
And, it's just like this sisterhood of like, no, I will not allow anyone else to treat you poorly either. So I love that we truly have each other's backs.
We do, for sure. And see the worthiness in each other.
Yeah. Yeah. When we can't even see it for ourselves.
Oh, so true.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
Do you feel like this collaborative model could apply to other industries?
I mean, how could it not?
Yeah.
Everybody's better when there's safety in numbers and strength in numbers. And if you collaborate with people in your same industry, you make your industry better.
Yeah.
What could be bad about that?
And I would venture to say that you probably all have some very, very common pain points.
Sure.
Right? Because that's a lot of, I think, what we spend our time talking about. That's
the 911s.
So yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think even sharing the information that's so beneficial, like to get into the real like weeds, honestly, in our group of, we do talk about all the things that we each have to encounter within our market. So it is trade specific. So it's issues with specific contractors as, a warning to one another, like, hey, I just had this experience. So be warned, you may not want to go that route with that same contractor or even clients. And, this is across all industries as well. There's certain clients that, their name gets around, their reputation gets around.
Definitely.
And so we have each other's back in that way too. And that's tremendously beneficial. I mean, it obviously saves us money, but it saves us time and stress as well.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
So both of us have experienced seasons of starting over in marriages and careers and moving to new places. Well, I haven't done that, but you have. So what would you say this process has taught you overall? We talked a bit about, the resilience in this and it only strengthening you, but like any specifics that you can pull out of that?
Years ago, in some sort of personal therapy I was in, I heard this saying, and the saying is, that which is right is unfolding. And you have to think about that. That which is right is unfolding. I'm a firm believer that whatever is in your path, even if it's uncomfortable, it is meant for you, and you need to face it and you need to go through it. I try not to look at starting over. And if, as you get older, you look back on your life and you're like, oh yeah, I started over, when I moved from Dallas to LA. And then I started over fast forward, when I moved from Chicago to Lexington. Starting over should not be considered negative. Change your mindset on that and look at it as a fresh new launching point. You're smarter. You've had more life experiences. You understand yourself better. You know your strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly, because you're not really starting from scratch.
You're not.
You're starting from a totally new launch point.
Yes, and you're going from version 1.0 or 2.0 to maybe 3 or 4.0.
Right.
It's a better version of your life.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It is all about perspective, of course.
It is, and mindset, and do you look at things as bad things, or if you're in a difficult situation, do you focus on how difficult it is, or do you try to find a silver lining? That's something I've really worked on as I've gotten older, is what is the silver lining? What can I take away from that awkward or difficult experience that can help me next time I encounter something like that, or make me feel better about the situation and move forward?
Yeah.
So.
This makes me think of how I know you are so big on vision boards.
Oh, love them.
Like you're the queen.
No, I know.
Tell me more.
Okay, so that whole vision board thing started with the peer group in Chicago.
Okay.
We started, one of the designers said, hey, I've been doing this thing and it's really working for me. Do you guys want to do it? So it became our thing. Every January, we would have a meeting together. We would all bring like magazines, and we'd had our big black boards, and we would play music and drink wine and just start, we went through some exercises that were getting our brains churning about, what are your goals this year? What are some things that happened last year that you're grateful for? What else do you want to happen in this next year? Anyway, I've done vision boards now for maybe 5 years, and I keep my vision boards, and every once in a while I go back downstairs and I look at them and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're really a roadmap for me of, where I want to go with my life. And I'm telling you, when you visualize something like that every day, I have my one out for this year, and I'm like, oh gosh, Jenna, you're down to the fourth quarter. Look at your vision board. One side's my professional life, one side's my personal life. What have you accomplished? I've accomplished a lot of stuff on those vision boards. It's amazing. Awesome. It's really encouraging, and it's just a fun, creative process to go through. Don't go through life haphazardly. Yes, things happen in your life and they fall into your path, but you also need to have some ideas of what you want to get out of life.
Yeah.
And that helps kind of fine tune that.
Yeah. I think our conversations about that actually encouraged me to create the first assignment that I did with my UK class of students, the interior design seniors, where I'm teaching more or less like business, the business side of design. And so I had them, and I mean, to be honest, like we don't know what we don't know at 22, most of them typically are in age. And I mean, it's funny to think about really what I wanted when I was 22, probably not very much like what, my vision board would look like today.
Sure.
But I think writing it out or putting it on a vision board in pictures helps you to question the why or realize the why in it, because I was thinking about at their age how misleading some of my goals and thoughts were, because so much of it was from the family that I grew up in, which I would imagine is a lot of the case for at that age, because you just haven't been exposed to much else, right?
Sure.
Outside of your family. And so much of it, like I said, changed because I was just adopting what I had seen, what had been modeled for me. And if I had actually written those goals out, or those things that were so subconscious to me at the time, I may have realized that sooner.
Sure.
That they weren't really my goals, but that all I was doing was mimicking
your peers or social media.
Yeah. Well, that didn't exist, but
that's true. Definitely not when I was younger.
Yeah. But I'm hoping that is some sort of revelation for them in this assignment. And it kind of encouraged me, even personally, to continue to do that, rework that in my own life. And then, as business owners too, I think it's probably easy to see, you look at other people's businesses, and again, where everything is in your face, all your competition, all the other industries, you're just constantly playing catch up or thinking, oh, they're doing that, I need to do that. And here's the latest reel to, get all the likes. And oh my gosh, it just never ends. But you have to eventually question, okay, why? Like, I don't need to chase every bit of this. And is it truly important to me and my goals?
That's such a hard thing to teach young kids,
It
like
is.
that's just like what we've learned through life experiences, it's just,
and it's things that we have to continue to remind ourselves. I think,
I'm still learning them,
Totally.
It's hard. It's really hard.
So for designers or creatives that are trying to grow their network, what do you think is one simple step that they could take this week to do that?
Listen to this.
Okay.
Be a cheerleader. Don't be a Karen. To yourself and to other people.
Oh my gosh. Yes. To yourself.
Okay. Don't just think about the other people.
Yeah.
Cheer yourself on. You're awesome.
We're probably Karens to ourselves more than we realize.
I totally am. Totally am. And I struggle with that. So yeah, be a cheerleader, not a Karen. Praise and encourage other people, especially get on social media, connect with other people. Tell them how pretty they look or how beautiful that design was.
Authentically.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Of course. Always authentically. But yeah, be a cheerleader, not a Karen.
Mm-hmm. Powerful words by Jenna.
That just came to me the other day, and I was like, oh, dang.
Mm-hmm. For someone in business, how can partnerships help them grow faster than going it alone?
Just remember, partnerships and networking is not a bad word. It's your fast track to success, encouragement, and strength. Mm-hmm. It's going to be make you the better version.
Yeah, and it's a two-way road, too.
Yes,
so
that's right. That's right.
Don't let it intimidate you thinking that you're the only one gaining here.
Yeah, you do not have to do it alone. And if you do, it's going to take you twice as long or maybe 3 times as long.
Yeah, and man, we're just not meant to do life alone like that. And we're definitely not meant to do business alone. So what's one boundary or practice that you put in place to protect the energy that you give to partnerships or collaborations?
So I used to be a big believer in the power of saying no to things. And as I've grown my business and my business now with my mom, we have boundaries about these are the types of jobs that we want to focus our creative energy on, and we're going to say no to these other
Right.
types of maybe smaller jobs or whatever. But what I've realized in the last, I don't know, maybe year of my life is I'm saying less no, and I'm trying to say more yes. So it's great if you want to say no to a lot of things and kind of create your boundaries and stay focused, but don't stop saying yes, because yes opens you up to other opportunities, puts you in situations that maybe you've never been in. And those are always places where you're going to win big.
Yeah.
Always. You're going to make another connection, or you're going to learn something about yourself. You're going to see maybe a strength or a weakness that you have. But I'm at the point in my life where I'm trying to say yes more than no.
Yeah. And you have the bandwidth to do so. So I'm sure it is,
Oh, I do, right? Because I'm an empty nester.
Exactly.
And I'm single.
Yeah. Exactly. So we want to fill.
Yeah. It's okay to say yes.
Yeah. I love that, because that's really like taking a boundary that now you've turned into a practice.
Yes.
Kind of flipped it around.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I am very grateful for not only the collaboration with you within our group, but also your friendship and your mentorship.
Same.
And just thank you so much for joining the podcast. I'm thrilled to have you here. This conversation has reminded me, and hopefully the listeners, of how powerful it is to lean on others, to collaborate instead of compete, and to not be afraid of starting over when life calls us to. So for those listening, you can learn more about Schnabel Interiors and follow Jenna's work online at
Schnabel Interiors, Instagram.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And thanks again for tuning in to episode 21, Networking and Partnerships. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you loved this conversation, share it with a friend who could use a reminder that connection and collaboration matter. And if you don't have a group like this in your area, Jenna and I are cheering you on to get this started. Until next time, keep building relationships that matter, and don't be afraid to start again. I will see you next time, friend. Thanks for joining me on Charm and Circumstance. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and follow along on Instagram, because charm is personal and circumstance is what you make of it.